Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday, the day after. We've got one more left, but the day after well, I don't know, Adam. They call it a wildcard weekend for a reason. It was wild. It was such a fun weekend of football. Couple, like maybe one dud game, but we're going to get there. We've got one more left with the Houston Texans playing against the Steelers tonight. But overall, what a great weekend. This is exactly what we thought was going to happen, Adam, when we saw all these teams, most of them, all of them have a red flag or two to their name. And it was complete chaos. How you doing? How's it going?
Yeah, it was a phenomenal weekend.
It's
And
awesome.
like you said, we expected it. We saw the lines were all close. There was only one that was double digits, and that was Rams Panthers. And even that turned into a
Hmm.
good game. And there was a moment where you felt like, are the Panthers going to pull this off? So, yeah, it was great. It was one of those weekends where there was no time to go away from the television. You know, sometimes
No.
you get these lopsided games or maybe one that's decided. You go, okay, well, let me go do something and I'll come back for the start of the next game. Like I barely left the couch outside of commercials to go to the bathroom or grab a drink. So yeah, I was glued to the couch this weekend watching these games. A lot of excitement, but it's what we expected. We knew that there
Hmm.
was an opportunity for almost every team in this postseason to make a Super Bowl run. Most people felt probably Carolina and Pittsburgh least likely, and again, Carolina gave it all they had and made it close. I don't think anyone thought they'd be in this game with
I
less than
didn't.
2 minutes to go, and they
Yep.
were. So, yeah, it was a great, exciting weekend, a win for the NFL in a massive way.
It was so, so good. Patriots Chargers, kind of a bummer. For all the Patriots fans listening, I know you guys don't feel that way. I know our producer doesn't feel that way as well. With him, he was like, this is a great game. They deserve that. They earned that. I agree 100%. But other than that, like that didn't even spoil how good of a weekend it was. That was still, I mean, it was still football. We were still watching it. The four other games were decided by 14 points combined. It was just the first three games were decided by touchdowns scored in the final 2 minutes, Adam. It was that set an NFL playoff record. And then you look, it was just it was so good. I couldn't. I was gonna come in and ask you which game was your favorite, and you might have a favorite, but all these you might just want to say that the Chargers Patriots was the most boring. 16-3 win. Everything else was phenomenal. 49ers went in, did it to the Eagles. The Eagles are gonna have a ton of offseason questions come their way, especially with their offensive coordinator. The Bills came in as I think the it flipped to being
It
slight
did, yeah.
underdogs
Jacksonville
at the
closed
time of
at
kickoff. Yeah.
1.5 point favorites.
And then the Bears just doing Bears things. Like every single time you think that they cannot get this done, the Packers had an utter collapse and the Bears leaned on Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson. That marriage looks like it's going to go really far into the future. And like you said, the Panthers were able to really keep it close. And at some point you thought to yourself, there's no way the Panthers are going to be able to do this and really knock off the Rams. But which one was your favorite game to watch?
Oh, that's a tough call.
I
I'd,
know.
I'd probably say Jacksonville Buffalo
Yeah.
because that was, on paper the best going in. But it always brings a smile to my face to see
There it
turmoil in
is.
Philadelphia and
I
them
knew you were going to
lose.
go
Even
there.
though I don't like the 49ers either, but still to see Philly go down, that was pretty fun.
It was that one I think was the most surprising to me, I want to
I
say,
think
because
it was too. I
I picked the Bills. Like I thought the Bills were going to win that. And like Packers Bears was shocking because of just how they did it, but I think the most surprising was 49ers Eagles by far.
Yeah, I mean the Eagles line kept rising throughout the week,
Really?
and I think when I saw it closed at 6. So here's the thing with Philadelphia: when you looked at them, you said on paper, you look at the talent, and you said this team is so good. And San Francisco really came in banged up, a lot of injuries. We saw, the game against Seattle when they faced a good defense, they couldn't do anything. So we knew Philadelphia's defense was good. I think if you were picking Philadelphia to go far, and I did see some people pick them to go to a Super Bowl, it was okay, it's the playoffs. They have all this talent. It's going to come together. But this offense has been a problem all season long. We
Yep.
talk about it all the time. So there were definitely signs there that they probably could have an early exit in the playoffs. But at home against this San Francisco team, dealing with a lot of injuries, and the way they played too, I mean, they did nothing offensively in the second half. So I think that's why it's a little bit of a surprise here. The
Yeah.
other games, again, they all came down to plays late in the game where they evenly matched teams and it's not that much of a surprise, but that line kept moving towards Philadelphia. Money came in on Philly, and for them to go down like that, to me, was the biggest surprise of the weekend. Even though, again, you could say, well, the signs were there, we could have seen this coming. All true, but
Yeah.
for them to go out like that was definitely surprising.
23-19 win for the San Francisco 49ers. So they are moving on, facing the Seattle Seahawks on Saturday. I
Yeah,
know
your
that.
team catches a massive break.
Listen, I couldn't
The
believe
NFL,
it, Adam.
the
I
NFL
couldn't
can
believe
say
it.
all they want about player safety and all that. We all know it. It's all about TV. But there's no way San Francisco should be playing Saturday
No.
against Seattle.
And the Rams get how many days of rest now? Going
Rams
up.
and the Bears both played
Yeah.
Saturday.
I know it makes no sense to me. Even as a Seahawks fan, I was like, really? Because I was getting ready for the weekend. I have to know when to get my stuff for lasagna. I have to plan that whole thing out, Adam.
I
And
actually
now
had
it's
lasagna
Saturday?
on
Did you?
Saturday. I didn't
You
cook
didn't
it.
make it. Yeah,
No,
I know that.
and
I know that.
it wasn't planned by me. It's just I was at a friend's house, and
Oh my
all of a
gosh.
sudden they bring out lasagna.
See, look at that. So, okay, you're telling me you're already ready for a Seahawks win. I love that. But yeah,
Oh,
it's
I'm rooting for the Seahawks in
Oh,
that
I know.
game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I couldn't believe when the schedule came out because they put it on the screen after the last game, after Chargers Patriots, and I was looking, I was like, there's no way that that's what it's going to be. And then lo and behold, it was. So yeah, the San Francisco 49ers get Saturday's game. I'm still nervous about it. They're playing the Seattle Seahawks, but yeah, Philadelphia. I think this is too, Adam, going to be, and we might say this every season, but this is a pivotal off season for this team because you're really at a crossroads and big question marks with this offense. More specifically, Jalen Hurts in this game, 20 of 35, 168 yards, 1 touchdown, sacked 1 time. But even on the ground, he couldn't get anything going. He had 5 carries for 14 yards in this game. Saquon Barkley, 26 carries for 106 yards as well. But they just couldn't do it. They couldn't mount the go ahead drive. It was the final 3 minutes. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith had drops in this game. Like I said, Jalen Hurts couldn't escape to run, and it was just big questions. So I think there's a lot to be said about how the 49ers are doing this, especially after George Kittle went down. I mean, this team can't catch a break. So it doesn't look like it. It's confirmed that George Kittle tore his Achilles, and that's a huge loss for this team. And they still had players step up in that moment. So that's a big question for us going into 2026's draft season, because George Kittle on the timeline, we always talk about when players start getting injured December, January, it really pushes them back. And so we hope for a speedy recovery for George Kittle, but that's a big loss. And they were still able to get things done even after he went down.
Yeah, look, Shanahan deserves a lot of credit for what they've done this year. A lot of times we talk about teams, well, the injuries, that's the reason why they weren't able to perform to a certain level. And here you have the 49ers going out in 12 games in the regular season, coming down to battling for the number 1 seed late in the year, and then going on the road in Philadelphia, losing Kittle early in the game. Getting Trent Williams back was massive, and just finding a way to get a win. They didn't have Ricky Pearsall in this game either. McCaffrey couldn't do much on the ground, but he got it done in the passing game. So, yeah, San Francisco deserves a lot of credit for what they've been able to do, and it's just extremely disappointing for Philadelphia, where I don't know if you saw that clip late in the game when they were showing Hurts, Sirianni, and Patullo before that final play.
Yep.
And you could see, Hurts was like, really? This is what we're doing? So it's just not a creative offense. A lot of the same plays over and over. They ran so many times on 2nd and long. It's just it's been
familiar.
a problem all season long. And you knew eventually it would catch up. Just didn't think it'd be in the first round, but I'm not sad about it.
I mean, I was gonna say, so now you're big. You could be such a big winner after this coming weekend, because then you get the Eagles out and maybe the 49ers, and you'll just be happy. It's so familiar with the Eagles. I think that's what makes it more disappointing, is that you see glimpses, right? They marched down the field on their first 3 drives, and they had 2 touchdowns. They racked up 177 yards, and you thought to yourself, okay, perfect. They're cutting Saquon Barkley loose early. Jalen Hurts is making those quick passes that we always love to see, and then all of a sudden, it's almost like they just hit the restart button, and they fall back into these ways that we know does not help them win games. And it was obvious in this one. They had only 6 points on 119 yards in the second half. And the defense intercepted Brock Purdy twice in that game. And it was, I don't know, and they weren't able to do anything with it. I was sitting there saying to myself, they have to be able to capitalize on these turnovers, and they weren't able to do it. So yeah, it was in the second half. Barkley was held to 3.2 yards per rush, and Jalen Hurts averaged 3.7 yards per drop back, and it felt like everything we saw throughout the season. And so of course, I think Nick Sirianni's a big loser in this one, when we're looking at winners and losers, which we're going to break down. But also, I think that they're going to eventually this offseason make a move at offensive coordinator, maybe this week. I just don't know how you can look at what they did this season and say, yeah, we have to keep everyone because we can just run it back. It's not going to work.
Yeah, it's clearly not. And, again, they were moving the ball in the first half, 11 first downs on first four possessions, 108 total yards. It looked good. And then second half, they just couldn't do anything. And, Barkley, a lot of it came early. He had a 29-yard gain on the first possession. And then after that, not much. So third downs were a problem for Philly as well. And San Francisco was 6 of 11 on third
Yep.
downs. So penalties too for
Oh
Philadelphia
yeah.
were a
Yep.
big problem as well. So two big holding penalties that put the offense back. But yeah, the Eagles just have had a lot of offensive problems this year throughout critical games, and it just all caught up to them in this one to send them home.
I think too, do we watch, are we on AJ Brown watch to go be on the move? And that also, that doesn't look like, that looks like it's heading to a divorce as well. The sideline stuff, I know sometimes it gets a little bit blown up, and of course at the end of the game they always say, oh yes, we're fine. It's just, we get heated in those games, and while I do think some of that is true, it's just been one of those seasons with AJ Brown where he's been in a lot of headlines for kind of bad reasons and non-football related reasons than anything else. So I'm watching that and looking. I think I saw a tweet this morning about his contract where they actually do have an out where they would not have to. It's not a ton of dead cap money if they were to move on from him. I don't know the total breakdowns with that, if that's a post June 1 thing or what they would need to do, but there is an out for them if they do not want to have AJ Brown on this team next year.
I mean, look, where at times where like he needs to get the ball, he had a big drop. Like he had an opportunity late in this game.
Yeah.
If you're going to ask or complain when you don't get the ball enough, you got to make these plays in these critical spot. And he didn't do it. He didn't speak to the media after the game. So yeah, it definitely feels like something is off or the relationship is deteriorated to the point where they might have to move on. So yeah, we'll have to see with all that contract stuff. I know there was talk that it could be a $20 million cap hit if he gets traded, but
Which isn't bad. Like, not bad.
I mean, look, at some point you have to figure out, okay, is this the best thing for our football team at this
Yeah.
point? So
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna hear a lot of that with AJ Brown.
They're going into, like I said at the beginning, pivotal offseason. They have to figure out what they're doing with their offensive coordinator. They have Jalen Hurts, who can be clutch in big moments, but it wasn't there for this team. They just fell back into their regular ways. And again, it's also a huge shout out to the 49ers because how they continue to do this with some of the most injuries in the NFL from start to finish. Adam, it hasn't even been, it's been all season long that they've been able to do this. And so I think that I saw this stat too. Let me say this. They average 9% of their annual payroll on IR right now, which is crazy. It's the most in the NFL. And the Eagles were the least injured of the two teams. So I look at this and I say, that's impressive for how they're able to do it. Again, George Kittle did, in fact, tear his ACL, or his Achilles. So that's going to be tough to come back from, but we'll have to see if they have it in them again. Short week going up against the Seahawks, obviously traveling because the Hawks were the number 1 seed. But yeah, I think, and two, they've been effective. They've had reliable field goal kicking, Adam. That's one thing. They've been able to rely on other things for this team. They were the second least penalized team during the regular season. They had 1 penalty on Sundays. So I think that also helps. Is like they're not kicking themselves with stupid mistakes, even with all these injuries on them.
Yeah, you got to give Salah really credit here for getting
Yeah.
this defense to play to this level. I mean, they got like their 6th, 7th, 8th string linebackers playing at this point. But I don't know if you saw this during the week. They were, Salah was doing a press conference and he highlighted Barkley still being elite, but he's like, yeah, I'm not going to comment on the offensive scheme. So he kind of was
Oh,
taking
really? Ugh.
kind of taking a shot at Patullo.
Because I don't know. It's if that's a joke, then Adam, what are we doing here? We all see it. How could it be this bad?
Yeah,
I
look,
don't know. Blows my mind.
yeah, I mean, anyone who's breaking down film and is an expert, you see them saying they're like, yeah, this offense is not creative at all. It's the same thing, and other teams are going to see that and scheme it well, and that's what's been a common theme when it comes to the Eagles week after week.
Ugh, it's embarrassing. But it's still going to be what Saquon Barkley is going to be a top running back still drafted next year, and you feel that way. I do. But when we look at the offense as a whole, like those receivers, everything else, I think Jalen Hurts will still be inside that top quarterback range, probably 5 or 6, with especially with Patrick Mahomes probably being out to start the year, depending on where his recovery is. But other than that, like AJ Brown, don't let me draft AJ Brown again, please. That wasn't a fun experience. Devontae Smith as well.
Yeah, I think we'll have to definitely back off on AJ Brown. He's definitely going to go further. He was a second round pick pretty much in every draft this past year. Now, again, he did have some big weeks. It just was inconsistent along
Yeah.
the way. Hurts saw a jump in passing touchdowns. He actually had a career high in passing touchdowns with 25, but he also did not run as much either. His lowest rushing yards since his rookie season and the 8 rushing touchdowns were the fewest since his rookie year. He had a stretch of 4 straight years of at least 10 rushing touchdowns. So we did see him run less. But yeah, I mean, you're going to see some changes, I think, in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. Again, we'll always keep monitoring, everything that's going on. It feels like Patullo's performance and his future are in jeopardy after this loss. And like you said, Jalen Hurts it didn't feel like he had the most touchdowns that he's had. And now that you say that and I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, it doesn't even feel like that. He had 18 last season, 25 this year, 23 and 23, 22 and 22. So yeah, it was just didn't feel good. But like you said, rushing wise, 421 yards off 105 carries compared to 630 off 150 in 2024. That's a big jump in a bad way. That's a big decline.
Yeah, I
Yikes.
mean, he was 8th in points per game. That's for 6 points for a passing touchdown. So he probably
Okay.
moved up a little bit in 4, but also there were a lot of down games for him. It was a lot of inconsistency. So that
Yeah.
that was the other part of him. And you really need him to run because he's not giving you 300-yard passing games and 3 passing touchdowns. So you need him to run a little bit more and continue to get those rushing touchdowns. He didn't have a rushing touchdown after week 13.
Wow. That's huge. And disappointing. So again, we'll watch out for this Eagles team, but San Francisco 49ers, they're going to be at the Seattle Seahawks there. I think it's the late game too, 8 p.m. Eastern
Did they?
on
I don't think
Saturday.
they announced that yet.
Oh, they didn't? I thought I
Yeah.
saw times on that when we were watching the broadcast last night, but I could be
No,
wrong.
they haven't. And my guess is
Okay.
I, I'm assuming that if the Steelers win, they become more appealing, and maybe that moves to a night game on Sunday.
Mm,
I'm just guessing, like, because the Steelers are a national team, have a big
that's
following,
true.
and maybe they're definitely looking at it from a ratings perspective. Steelers, Patriots to the network is probably more appealing than Texans, Patriots.
Probably. But we definitely have the days. Like it's going to be Denver
Yes.
and Seattle playing Saturday. Buffalo Bill is going to be at Denver. That's going to be a great game. It feels like San Francisco, like I said, at Seattle. Those games both on Saturday. We'll wait for the times. We should be getting that pretty quickly. And then, like you said, Adam, we've got one more game tonight. So we're going to be breaking down that one. But whoever wins this game, Texans, Steelers are going to be at New England on Sunday. And then the other Sunday game is the Rams going up against Chicago on Sunday as well. So another great weekend. But first, we have to continue breaking down what we just saw for the wild card weekend. I do want to go through just again what we saw with the Rams and Matthew Stafford and how they were able to complete this big game against the Panthers, and then of course breaking down all the other ones. Talk about the Bears Packers as well. We're gonna break that down here coming up next. It is Monday, and we are recapping everything from Wild Card Weekend. Wild is the best way to describe it, it feels like, because it was such a fun weekend, great games, and we hope that that continues with tonight's game, which we will be breaking down here, going through some DFS plays as well. But again, it was just a fantastic weekend of games. We broke down 49ers Eagles kind of being the most surprising game where the 49ers were able to pull this one out, Adam. You had 23-19 49ers win. I think another surprising one, and I know we touched on this a little bit, but the Rams Panthers for how close it was, especially at the beginning of the game where you just thought, okay, this is exactly how we thought it was going to go. The Rams are just going to blow out the Panthers and it's not really going to be a fun watch. But all of a sudden, when you continued watching that game, you thought to yourself, wow, Bryce Young, is this team really going to do it? Bryce Young finished 21 of 40, 264 yards, a touchdown, an interception. And Matthew Stafford, I don't know, Rams fans, if you're feeling not great about losing a close game to the Panthers, 34-31 or winning a close game against the Panthers, 34-31, at least you know that you have the best quarterback on the NFC side of the playoff bracket, because Matthew Stafford was a huge winner in this game. I know I saw that x-rays came back negative on that finger injury as well, so we'll just have to be monitoring that throughout the week. He had some shaky moments, Adam, I think, in this game, but ultimately he was the one that helped lead this team to a victory, and it was still a great game. Couldn't believe that the Panthers stayed in it like they did, but shout out to, the Rams and Stafford for finishing it out.
Yeah, I was surprised too that it came down to the wire, because if you had the Rams going far, you were definitely nervous there for a little bit. And I guess one way to look at it is to say, look, maybe the Panthers just match up well against the Rams, beat them once, where, again, a lot of things went their way. This game, they didn't have as many of those breaks, and yet they stayed competitive. And sometimes you get that game early in the playoffs, you survive, and then you make a run. Or you can look at it and go, this Rams defense is just not good. They have not played well down the stretch, and they made Bryce Young look pretty good. And, this could be their downfall or their problem for them to move on. But we know offensively they're going to put up numbers. Puka Nacua came out and showed why he was the number 1 overall pick in almost every fantasy football draft. Did you see Puka go 1 in all of yours?
What?
Puka, did you see him go number?
Yeah. I never, because I had 2 in a lot of my draft picks, and I was like, ooh, maybe someone will want anyone else, and they definitely didn't. It was all Puka.
Yeah, I had 4 number 1 picks, and I took Puka with a little. What do you mean?
I don't know. That just seems, I don't know. You had 4 number 1 picks in your guillotine.
No, Guillotini's 3 and then 1 on RT Sports.
Okay, I don't know. That's interesting.
How's it interesting? It's random.
Yeah,
you have more of an opportunity to get number 1 pick when you're drafting 5 or 6
teams. Did you only do the 5, or did you do the double? Did you?
I only did the 5.
Okay, all right, that makes it a little bit better. But I don't
How'd your double chop go? Did you survive?
I did. I survived in all of my guillotines this weekend, actually.
Are you sure about that? I see one where I think you might be cut that we're in together.
Oh, no. Let me see. This was also like Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, remember, there's still another game left.
No, it says I'm 3, 4, number 1.
Yeah, if you're 4, remember, there's a game left.
I know, but the projections say that I should be good.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. I see you're 4 here. Wait, so the team... Well, there's a team that has Woody Marks. Someone started Ricky Pearsall. What?
Yeah,
you got lucky there. So if Woody Marks scores more than...
I think it's 10.
11. If he gets like 11, you're out.
Yeah, I'm close.
So that's why you're dismissing Woody Marks. I get it.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, the other one we did together, you put up a huge number. You have the most points right now.
Yeah, so that's really
and you still have Woody Marks, Metcalf, and Nico. Damn.
Yeah.
How the hell did you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. You get all the number 1 picks. Yeah, McCaffrey was a good pick.
Well, I'm surviving that one too. I'm right behind you.
For another week. I took McCaffrey in a lot of these drafts, and I was nervous that it would only be a 1 week.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Like, I saw him going 3 a lot, and unless you felt the 49ers are going to win, like, it didn't make sense for me to take him in a 1 and done. Well, in a guillotine, I guess it does, because you could just replace him. So you're hoping to get a big week. But in the drafts, though, where you can't make any moves, I was a little surprised by that. Again, it's all up to what your bracket is. So maybe people had San Francisco advancing, but I didn't see a lot of people picking San Francisco to win this game.
I definitely wasn't one that did that. And I only took CMC in the guillotines, because that's exactly what I said to myself. I said, okay, if it's a 1 and done, at least I feel like he is going to get me points. And that way, even if he's out, I can go and pick up another running back. And it's kind of been the opposite. Now Saquon Barkley drafters are feeling that way. They thought that maybe they could get a couple weeks out of him, and you did not. So you have to go and pick him up. And yeah, if you have Puka Nacua, he's a cheat code. I 10 catches, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's just automatic with him. And
Could have had
Matthew
another
Stafford,
one that he
yes,
dropped.
every time it feels like we say that every time that he could have had a bigger game. But Matthew Stafford, 24 42, 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Like, he's automatic as well. And I know that, again, this game was a little too close for comfort for Rams fans, 34-31 win. But Matthew Stafford, I mean, he just showcases every time in these moments why he is probably going to be the pick for MVP, why he's a first team all pro selection. It was enough time. I will say shout out to Coker. I don't think anyone was drafting Jalen Coker. And if you did, for whatever reason, maybe in those 8-team, maybe in the double chops, people drafted him, but oh my goodness, 9 catches, 134 yards, both career highs, and a touchdown in this game. That was big for the Panthers to be able to have him have a big game like that, because they would not have looked the same if he wasn't able to go out there and deliver.
I'm so mad because I was looking at his prop. It was 35 and a half
no.
receiving yards. Now, I know after the fact, oh, yeah, he went over easily. But if you look, his playing time has been increasing, and he's been getting more targets, and he's been going over that number consistently. He actually had at least 47 receiving yards in 4 of his last 5 games. And you knew that they were going to have to pass a lot in this game, right? I mean, again, we did not think it would be this competitive, but you figured they would have to put the ball in the air at some point, whether it's to play from behind or keep up in a shootout, which is what occurred. Bryce Young had 40 pass attempts. So, yeah, I was telling my friends, because I watched the game actually with a Panthers fan. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about taking Coker. And then they're looking at me the first quarter like, you regret it now, don't you? Because he went over like right away. I'm like, yeah, I should have played it.
The worst. Should have. Now you don't get the opportunity anymore. But yeah, Coker. Yeah, it was a good game. I mean, fantastic game. Puka Nacua is probably gonna look like this the rest of the way. This Rams team too, as well. Like, it's just they look solid. And when you have Matthew Stafford on your team, it's kind of a big moment for them. So again, not the nicest win, not the sexiest win for that team, but they've got, and of course they still have some big questions, right? Like we've talked about that before, with their secondary kind of being a little bit of a concern going forward in these matchups. Couldn't get the defense off the field in big moments. It kind of made the game almost a little bit more difficult at them than it had to be. It felt like they could have put this away, and obviously they had the chance. But Stafford was great. The run game was good. Pass rush got to Bryce Young, and I think, the question of the Panthers now when we turn it around is like, can they build on this? And I think that's going to be a big question, Adam, of does he get the contract or not? Because that's gonna be this offseason. Like, is he their guy? Can he lead them in big moments and take them farther than what they had this year? Because to me, Adam, they were playing with house money. I think that I think they overperformed in a good way. That's not to say it was a negative thing, but it's almost like how we looked at the Chargers last season in their first season with Harbaugh, and you said to yourself, wow, they're doing this in their first year. And I still feel that way about the Panthers, but yeah, they're going to have to answer the question of if they want to move on, continue with Bryce Young, and if he's going to be the guy that they can lean on for these big moments and for their future.
Yeah, they backed into the playoffs, right? They didn't earn it. They were in a bad division, and they got fortunate, and they showed up. That's all you could ask for. A lot of people thought they might get blown out. It was a double-digit spread, and they gave it all they had and almost were able to secure a win. They had the lead late in the fourth quarter, which I don't think anyone envisioned. But, yeah, there's still question marks for Bryce Young, because there's been inconsistency. We even saw it last year where he lost the job, came back, finished the season strong. And then this year, too, we talk about the Panthers every week, like, which version are we going to get? They had some really good games against some good teams and beat them or were competitive late. And then other weeks you were like, they did not show up against an inferior opponent. So that's been the biggest problem for them, is the inconsistency all season long. And it does start with Bryce Young.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And the running backs too. Did you see those quotes from Rico Dowdle after the game?
Well, I was trying to figure out, and I don't have Dowdle. I don't have Dowdle in any postseason league, so it wasn't selfish. I'm just like, even my friend who's a pastor, he's like, where's Rico Dowdle? What's going on?
Exactly.
Like, why isn't he in the game?
That was. They combined, him and Hubbard combined for 55 yards on 18 carries. I don't know.
Look, it's easy to say, well, Dowdle didn't do anything when he's in there. Well, he didn't get a chance. Like, it's hard for a running back to get in a rhythm. He had 5 carries for 9 yards, and he was just absent for long periods. So I don't know what was going on. And I know that he wasn't great down the stretch, as good as he was. Now, you can't expect what he was doing against Miami and Dallas, where he had the 206
No.
and the 183 rushing. Then he had the 130 against Green Bay, and then after that he did fall off a bit. But a lot of it too was it's hard to get into a rhythm when you're in that split backfield. We've seen a lot of
Yeah.
running backs say that. So, I mean, he did tail off. There's no question about it. But he also was coming from a very high point where there was nowhere to go but down. But yeah, there were just it became sort of a split backfield, but this was way more in favor of Hubbard in this game, and even he was puzzled about it and basically said, "Yeah, I want to go somewhere where I'm gonna
Yeah.
get the bulk of the touches."
Well, because you're going into free agency.
Well, good luck though, getting that because he only got 1 year for $3 million. I mean, what
I
is he gonna
know.
get?
I don't know. Maybe something, maybe a 2 year. Like I can't see it being a big contract anywhere that
No.
he goes. And he's disappointed because obviously everyone's watching. These are all primetime games, so you want to put your abilities on display just just in case one team is watching and saying to themselves, "Yeah, we need to go get a Rico Dowdle in here." And I think I don't know. I don't know if Panthers fans. I'm curious what Panthers fans want when it comes to Bryce Young. Like if they have seen enough where they say, okay, we're overperforming, but he didn't give a performance like we saw Sam Darnold do against for the Vikings last year. Like the lights weren't too bright when he wasn't pressured. He went 17 to 24 for 223 yards and a touchdown and one pick. But the fifth-year option, I don't know if it was on the line in this game because they might have already seen enough to give him that contract and pick up the 26.5 million guaranteed for 2027. But I think it did help that he just did not kind of fold under that pressure in this game. I'm just curious what Panthers fans want, if they think that Bryce Young is the future, because he's shown glimpses right at him, and then at times he just totally crumbles, and you have to think to yourself, is he someone that can lead this team to a Super Bowl? I don't know.
My guess would be no. If you're saying
Probably
Super Bowl,
not.
I don't think so.
But that's what they have to think about when they're giving him this contract. This is probably the first offseason where they don't have as many holes on offense, right? They don't have to totally fix everything going into 2026, but that's what you have to think about when you're signing someone to that big of a contract. How far are they going
Yeah,
to lead you?
they probably definitely could use another receiver for sure, and
Oh,
they got to
definitely. Well,
find a
it's going
way
to be
to get McMillan the ball more.
Yeah, McMillan was. I still think he's going to be a top receiver, top-ish receiver in drafts for us next year. Round
Yeah,
four,
I think so. I
I
think he'll
think.
probably,
Round four.
yeah, around that area. I think he'll be a wide
Yeah.
receiver too.
It just needs to get better, and maybe it will next season if they get another good receiver. If Jalen Coker is actually someone that's going to be able to put up big games like this, that helps. But yeah, big questions for the Panthers. Again, they put up a lot in this game against the Rams, but weren't able to get it done. Let's talk through Bears Packers. I really want to see what your thoughts are on this really Packers collapse and the Bears being able to do what the Bears have done all season long, which is come from behind and win these big games in these big moments. We're gonna break that down here coming up next. Happy Monday, everyone. We are here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, breaking down everything from Wildcard Weekend. Again, wild is the perfect way to describe it because it was just a great weekend of games. So we're going to continue breaking those down, looking ahead to some 2026 drafts where we think some of these players are going to go. It is an overreaction Monday as well. So if you have questions, comments, concerns about your team, send them in at Valenzuela17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. I did want to make sure, Adam, we have to. I mean, Bears Packers, that was thrilling. I could not believe because at some point you look at the screen, you say, "Oh, okay, this is going to go in the way of the Packers. They're just maybe not going to blow them out, but they got up to this lead where you said, there's no way at 18-point halftime deficit that Caleb Williams is going to be able to do it again." And it's almost deja vu every time, Adam, with this Bears team. It makes no sense, and then at the same time, it makes perfect sense that they are able to do what they've done all season long, or most of all season. And Caleb Williams was able to get it done. 31-27 win, advancing to the divisional round of the playoffs. And I don't know if it was more of a Packers collapse or a Bears comeback, but either way, it was fantastic. Again, 21-3 halftime lead for the Packers on Saturday. They scored 3 touchdowns on 3 attempts. Jordan Love finished 24 for 46, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns. He looked great. And then the second half was a completely different story. It was insane to me.
Yeah, to me, it was more Packers collapse. I mean, they were in control of this game. And again, you give the Bears credit. They did what they needed to do to come back, putting up 25 points in the fourth quarter. It was 21-3 at halftime. Green Bay was in control, and they just couldn't do anything in the second half.
Hmm.
They just made no adjustments. The Bears did, and I can't believe that the Packers blew that game. I'm sitting there, I'm like, the Bears, sorry, they're going to do this again?
Yes.
And yeah, it just really brutal for the Packers because there were drop passes, there were play calls, there were so many things where, and of course, let's not forget special teams with
Yep.
McManus missing 2 field goals and an extra point.
Horrible.
So again, when you collapse like that, there's a multitude of factors that lead to it. But yeah, that was just brutal. And special teams too. Not only the kicking, but the kick return game, punt
Yeah.
returns of 37 and 22 yards from Devin Duvernay, and that helps the field position battle. So yeah, when you lose a lead like that, it's always multiple things that go wrong for you, and that was the case for the Packers. Just brutal, and the Bears just keep doing this. You cannot count
That's
them
what I'm
out.
saying. It's your first playoff victory in 15 years, and of course, it's going to come in this fashion, right? Like they weren't going to do it any other way. There was a it was just ridiculous how they came back in this game, and it was so fun. It was that late 25-yard touchdown pass to DJ Moore. It was everything, and I think the exciting part when I was watching too is that, of course, because Ben Johnson has like all these viral moments, right? He's taking his shirt off so people can get free hot dogs. He's saying, F the Packers after this game. But I think this really, if anyone had doubts about his time in Detroit and coming over as a first-year head coach, everything is on his side at this point. You look at how many explosive plays they were able to have. You look at how Caleb Williams was able to come in clutch. That marriage together looks like it's going to be one of the best that we've seen this season going forward, because it just looks like how we kind of talked about Trevor Lawrence earlier in the season, where you said, "Ugh, this doesn't seem right. Is Caleb Williams really going to be the answer here? This isn't going to work out." And it just shows that we have to be a little bit patient with some of these coaching changes, especially with the quarterbacks, because it takes a little while to get used to it. And then with them and however many months they've been together, they look like they're an ideal match. And so it was fun. And I thought also, Adam, the crazier part, because I remember us talking about this, they got this win without any takeaways either. Because they were one of those teams in the regular season, the Chicago Bears were always winning the turnover battle, and they didn't have to do that in this game, which I thought was kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it was their seventh game this year where they trailed in the final 2 minutes and they won.
It's
Uh,
insane.
just unbelievable. A thrilling comeback for Chicago. And yeah, Caleb Williams, look, he can make so many throws. He still will drive you crazy at times with the
Of
inaccuracy
course.
and running around, but he can make some amazing throws. And with the game on the line, he can handle that pressure. It doesn't phase him at all and makes big plays. So another great comeback win for the Bears. It's the second time in 4 weeks they've come back from a double-digit deficit against Green Bay to win. So they've had to deal a lot of heartache and pain from the Packers for a long time, and
Yeah.
they have a nice stretch here against Green Bay and a huge win against a division rival in the postseason to advance.
Are you scared about them in the playoffs? Like, could they be that team that it just almost feels like it's not, I don't even know how to describe it. It's not carefree. That's not the way to describe it, but it's almost like you can never count them out. And it feels like in the back of teams' minds, they might know this at this point because of this, all the stats you just said, because of it just Ben Johnson and making those changes at halftime, the explosive plays. Williams is a quarterback who hunts explosive plays almost relentlessly, where we say, "Oh, you should not be doing that." But could they be dangerous in your mind going forward now?
I want to say no because at some point this catches up to you. They've had so many slow starts offensively, and you just can't keep coming back from these deficits, especially against better teams. And the Packers had a lot of injuries as well. Losing Micah Parsons was
Hmm.
massive. Now, we just saw the Rams defense, though, not great. So maybe they can put up another good performance, but I don't think so. I think at some point this is going to end. But I did say during the game, I said, if the Bears come back and win this, they might win the Super Bowl. So I'll have to put some money on it. But that's just the instant reaction where you're trying to be extreme.
Yeah.
It will be. It's looking like as of again, we're still a week away. But the early weather is showing like 14 degrees, so it's going to be very cold. So let's see if the Rams offense can stand that.
I want to keep breaking this game down and going through more of the overreactions that we saw over the weekend, but I do want to see your thoughts on the Packers going into now their offseason since they have been eliminated from the playoffs. Again, a huge win for the Chicago Bears. What does this mean for LaFleur? And again, the offensive pieces we might be drafting next season. We're going to break it down here coming up right after this. Fantasy Life right here. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Monday, breaking down everything from Wildcard Weekend and finishing off what we just talked about with, LaFleur and the Packers here, Adam. It looks like there are conversations going on now because there were some back and forths with some reports about, if this game meant that LaFleur, maybe his future was in jeopardy, but it does look like now that they are looking to extend Matt LaFleur and maybe bring him back this for more seasons to come here. Again, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the water cooler, but that's per Adam Schefter, expected to work out a deal in the coming days for their head coach because he has one year remaining on his contract. So it was a little bit uncertain going into this game, but it looks like he's going to be okay with this team.
Yeah, I think that was a lot of the talk, especially with some of the coaching candidates out there, specifically Harbaugh. Would they make a move? I mean, but look, LaFleur has done a good job there and won a lot of games. Injuries were a factor this year. It is disappointing though, because anytime you lose in that fashion, people want the extreme outcome, right? Like, I can't believe you blew this game. Got to get rid of him. That's everyone's reaction to anyone that lost the playoff game. All right, we got to get rid of the coach. It's like always like that.
Yeah. And so, again, this game, there was a lot that went wrong. I think and when teams want and when fans want coaches gone, Adam, sometimes it's a hard thing to do because if you want change, you also have to know that with change probably comes growing pains. And I think that's maybe something we're going to see for the Ravens. I know that Ravens fans might be a little bit excited and happy that Harbaugh is out of there, maybe ushering in kind of this new regime, this new idea of what this team could look like going into 2026 and a new playoff push because they have the pieces and they have one Lamar Jackson. But again, it's pretty difficult for a new coach to come in and just win immediately. I know we're seeing it with Ben Johnson, but look at the ways that they have to win to be able to do that. And it is impressive. I can't understate that. And I can't say that enough, that it is so impressive, but it's hard when you have teams moving on from coaches that have gotten you this far. And so again, he's going to be good. And this game too, I mean, McManus was awful. It was so bad. I don't even know how he got there, but he missed 3 kicks and that matters a lot. And yeah, Josh Jacobs is something that we're going to be talking about going into 2026. He finished with 19 carries for 55 yards. And yeah, it was just overall, they weren't able to get it done.
Yeah. So with Jacobs, obviously we know he wasn't healthy down the stretch and that was a factor. And, it wasn't the Josh Jacobs we were used to seeing most of the year, especially when he gets that volume. We expected better numbers. Jordan Love played well though, 323 passing yards, 4 touchdowns. Some drops, though. Jane Reed had some big drops, and Matthew Golden, all of a sudden, of all the weeks that he showed up, right?
Welcome back. I'm not going to draft you next year, but welcome back. Are we going to draft any of these wide receivers next year for the Packers?
It depends on price because they will all be cheap. I mean, maybe Christian Watson, but I guess we've seen even with them completely healthy that it's going to be tough because we don't expect Green Bay to have many games where Jordan Love's attempting 46 passes, right? That's kind of not the way. That's not the way they play or want to play. So, like in this game, it worked out because he put the ball in the air so much. But yeah, it's always frustrating when they're completely healthy because it could be Dobbs like it was yesterday, or it could be Watson, it could be Reed. Let's not forget Tucker Kraft will be back too. That's another guy to put into the mix.
I'm going to draft a lot of Tucker Kraft. I think that's just going to be my answer is like maybe Tucker Kraft and Watson and Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs will still be an expensive pick next year.
He probably will be, yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a frustrating loss for Packers fans. It was a frustrating losing streak, I think, too, coming into this. I mean, they really tailed off towards the end of the season. Third straight year, the Packers have entered the postseason as the 7th seed, and they've won a grand total of 1 playoff win over the past 5 seasons. So it's tough. I understand it. I think that, again, what fans saw Saturday, they might want to say, well, this is proof that they need to go in a different direction. But LaFleur has gone 76-40-1 as the head coach. And so I think that better days are still ahead, and I just don't know if you want to. I don't think you want to go that way. But yeah, I think when it comes to and Colston Loveland, by the way, on the other side, I don't think we mentioned him. Incredible. He just keeps driving his price up, and with George Kittle out, unfortunately, and probably not draftable going into next year unless his rehab is amazing. He's now a top 4 tight end, top 5.
Yeah, it's we talked about him last couple weeks, and that price went even higher after the performance. He's been way more involved in the offense, and if he has another good game this week, it's going to be tough to draft him. You're going to have to pay a high price.
I was yelling at my TV. I was like, stop, Colston Loveland. Please, you're showing everyone what you have. Like, don't do this. We need you cheap in fantasy drafts. It's not going to happen next year. I'm telling you that right now. We're going over to the water cooler, though. News and notes that you need to know heading into this week coming up next. We are in the water cooler right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you on this Monday. It is an overreaction Monday, so send in your questions, your comments, your concerns about your teams at KValenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. And as always, fantasylife.com. That's where you can go to subscribe to our newsletter in your inbox 7 days a week, 100% free. And check out all of our articles that we have. They are amazing. Also free for you to look at here as well. I see some questions coming in about the guillotine drafts, Adam, because they're not done. If you didn't do a guillotine to start the weekend, you can do one for this coming week. So go to guillotineleagues.com. We've got one more game tonight, but I do see some questions on like fab and how to spend it. We actually get to get all of the information for guillotine leagues after tonight's game. So we'll make sure to go through the most chopped players, how much you should spend with your $1,000 worth of fab. I'm going to tell Adam to spend on players he shouldn't because I want to win. But I don't know who he paid off, but he got the first round pick in every single draft. So he gets a lot of Puka Nacua, which I think is unfair. I'm jealous.
You should be, especially after week 1, although was a little dangerous there for a second. I was like, no way. Are these really going to be eliminated? No, I got to replace all these Rams. But
as a Seahawks fan, I would have loved it. It would have been great for me. But
yeah, I mean, you did get I think you would rather face the Niners than the Rams this round, right?
Yes. I don't know.
I mean,
I think
just more banged up.
The NFC West is a big winner, though. You got 3 teams going this far. I mean, that is insane.
I mean, not a surprise based on what they did in the regular season.
Impressive. How's that?
Yeah, it was.
Good division. Yeah, and then you have, the Cardinals, but that's fine. They're just kind of there. No, I love it. I think the 49ers still being alive, even with George Kittle carted off with the Achilles injury. Did you see, first part of the water cooler, Juwan Jennings on Facing the Seahawks, he said, can't wait. This is who we wanted. What? Get out of here, Juwan Jennings. Come on, get out of here. This is who we wanted. He said that right when the game ended. And again, it was a crazy game for the 49ers being able to take down the Philadelphia Eagles. But get out of here. That's not who you wanted.
Did you hear the rest of the quote?
No, of course not.
It's like, they have Sam Darnold. Why should we worry?
Get out of here. No, he did not say that. Did he actually?
No.
Oh, stop. Okay, don't do that. I'm going to believe things you say. No, Sam's going to be fine. He had a week off. He was not overthinking this game at all. It's going to be at home. Everything's going to be fine. I think these games are going to come down to just, it always does, but especially the coaching. I think this is going to be on McDonald and everyone else, but that's really like what I'm going to be watching in this game. Of course, Sam Darnold needs to not mess it up, but we're gonna make lasagna. You're already a week early on lasagna. You had some this weekend, so you're
probably not this weekend. I'm guessing.
Why not? Come on.
Yeah, probably not. I don't see it happening again.
That's a lot of lasagna, like twice in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's something that you can't eat consistently.
No, it's heavy. That's why I said I'll ship you some. How's that? You can have.
You can do that. Yeah.
The rest of whatever I have. I'm not paying for the overnight though. That's what I told you. I can't do the overnight shipping. Anyway.
Oh, come on. You have a big contract.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. No, I'm not shipping you overnight to lasagna, but it is interesting. Juwan Jennings saying that they can't wait to face the Seahawks. We'll see, and we're waiting on the times. So this game, they do have an advantage, and I couldn't believe it when I saw that the Seahawks get that game on Saturday. But we're still waiting on the times to see when those are. So we'll update you when we get that. Wanted to hit on Rico Dowdle again too, because he said he wants to be the guy that gets the bulk of the carries. Looks like the drop in carries will affect his free agency call. I don't think he's someone that's going to demand a lot of money, right? I don't think he's going to go out there and get this big deal because he signed a 1-year deal worth up to 6.25 million in March. That's after he got the 1,000 rushing yards in 2024 with Dallas. So it really did come back down though. He averaged only 8.25 carries in the last 4 games after averaging 20 in the previous 7. And so Chuba Hubbard is obviously still going to be around and still going to be there because he got the 4-year, $33 million extension last November. And so it's not a question of are they going to split? Are they going to move on from Chuba? Because he's there. And I know Jonathan Brooks is still technically there, even though he's just been banged up and injured. He's set to return from his ACL surgery in 2026 too. So we probably will see Rico Dowdle on the move here.
His numbers are almost exactly the same as it was last year with Dallas. He played one more game this year. He had one more carry. He had 3 less yards. He averaged the exact same yards per carry, 4.6. Touchdowns went from 2 to 6 rushing. Passing wise, he had 39 receptions each year. Targets last year were 49, 50 this year. Receiving yards went up a bit, and his yards per reception went up from 6.4 to 7.6. He had 3 receiving touchdowns last year, 1 this year. So he had 5 total touchdowns last year, 7 this year. The rushing yards were 3 last. So it's almost the same. And what did he get coming off of last year? Where he was probably better for that 7-game stretch because this year the bulk of the yards came in 3 games. He had 206, 183, and 130 rushing in 3 games, and then did fall off. So, yeah, I understand he wants a bigger workload. Makes sense, but he'll be 28 when the season starts, and basically the same numbers as last year where it got him 1 year for $3 million. So, I don't know what he expects to get.
I don't either. And it's when Hubbard missed consecutive starts with the calf injury this year too. So he was featured a little bit more then. 23 carries, 206 yards against Miami, then the 30 carries for 183 against Dallas. So he did help fantasy managers if they did pick him up or they ended up drafting him in some spots, but down the stretch, like you said, he wasn't a game changer. And Canales was asked about him after this game. But they've got 19 players scheduled to become unrestricted free agents. So they've got a lot of work to do. And I don't know if Rico Dowdle is going to be one that is at the top of their priority list, but again, something to watch out for as well. And again, we mentioned this earlier in the show, but Matt LaFleur is expected to the Packers and Matt LaFleur, I should say, are expected to reach an extension. Even though they lost this game, he has 1 year remaining on his current contract. So they had questions going into this game, right? There were multiple reports that maybe if they lose that his future is going to be in jeopardy. But it looks like, they've gone 76-40-1 in the regular season under LaFleur. They've made the playoffs in 6 of his 7 seasons. They have not reached the Super Bowl. So I understand maybe fans being a little bit, antsy and not ready for that. But they looks like they're going to go ahead and probably get a deal done going into this week so that they can lock him down, which is expected.
Yeah, look, when you look at the whole body of work, he's been good there, 76-40-1, playoffs 6 times in 7 years. I know they haven't taken that step of winning the NFC Championship, getting to the Super Bowl, and they were the 7th seed the last 3 years. Had a lot of injuries this year. It is tough, though, when you look at the way they blew that game against Chicago. Again, you always want change. But, LaFleur would be highly sought after if they let him go. And I think, too, if you are one of those teams where you want yours to get John Harbaugh, you like this. You want LaFleur to stay in Green Bay.
Exactly.
You don't want another opening.
Exactly. So, again, I understand some fans want change, but when change comes a lot of not rebuilding, but sometimes you have to be patient when you do have changes in the coaching staff. So again, it looks like LaFleur is going to get his contract extended or just get a new one here in the coming days. I do see an update also from, Adam Schefter saying Sean McVay said Matt Stafford sprained his index finger on his throwing hand, but will be good to go against the Bears on Sunday, Adam. He did the x-rays were negative on that finger as well. They told us that yesterday. There was no dislocation. And Stafford said, it wasn't pleasant when it happened, but it looks like he should be good to go this weekend. So there you go. Good news.
Yeah, we need that.
Yeah, we need good news for
Well,
sure.
I mean, you probably don't,
Well,
but
I don't root for injuries. I don't want to do that. I want to beat them fair and square with Sam
okay.
Darnold and a lasagna. That's what's going to happen. Let me ask you this. It's an overreaction Monday, and we've got some overreactions that we're going to go through. But I do want to ask you, is it an overreaction or not to say that Justin Herbert doesn't have it in the playoffs? Like what did we see in this game? He's officially gone 0-3 in his first postseason starts. I made the joke in one of the breaks. Tim Tebow has more, playoff wins than Justin Herbert. He's only the fourth quarterback this century to go winless in his first 3 postseason starts. So he joins Andy Dalton, Matt Ryan, and Matthew Stafford. So a mixed bag, but you see what Stafford's doing now. I know the general public is probably saying that he should not be in the same conversation as elite quarterbacks, right? Because before we've talked with him about him in the same conversations as Mahomes and Allen and Jalen Hurts and all this stuff. But the Chargers did not look good in this game. This was the only game that was really just a down game. I know Patriots fans loved it because he was just getting demolished. That offensive line was something that they had to work through all season, and they clearly need new interior offensive linemen. They had so many injuries. But is it an overreaction to say Justin Herbert doesn't have it in the playoffs?
I don't know if we could say that yet. I mean, what did you expect? Number one, they were underdogs here, and we've said if you were looking at the Chargers and looking at them to make a potential run in the playoffs, I don't think anyone picked them. Why? That offensive line. I mean, he was under pressure constantly. They had no answer at all. And New England doesn't even have a great pass rush, but they were running all these stunts. The Chargers couldn't figure it out. And Herbert's under constant pressure. It's really hard for a quarterback to have success when you have all those guys constantly in your face, hitting you, taking you to the ground. So I don't know what quarterback would have had success last night for the Chargers. Now, again, when he did have the opportunities, he didn't play well. He didn't make plays. But I don't know many quarterbacks that would have had success last night.
It takes me back to, again, this doesn't explain, because I agree with you on this one. For this game, they were underdogs. They obviously were going up against a good Patriots team, and they had so many injuries. But it still doesn't explain, he had 4 interceptions last year against the Texans, and he had a collapse against the Jaguars in 2022. So I understand, kind of the weight of those 3 losses now put all combined in together. People are going to look at it that way and say, well, Justin Herbert just isn't good. And I still think that decision has to come in the coming years, but he definitely gets knocked down a few pegs. And I think for this team, for us, for the Chargers going into 2026 fantasy drafts, I mean, where are we going to go, Adam? Ladd McConkey, he was not helpful to any fantasy manager this season. Justin Herbert was someone that definitely down the stretch, if you were in super flex formats, where you were good with. And then, of course, the running backs, Amarian Hampton, Kamani Vidal. If you picked Vidal up off the waiver wire, he was probably a waiver wire hero for you. But you've got a lot of big questions with this team of, where do I pick these guys and where should they go?
Yeah, look, we kind of figured that once Quentin Johnston came on, you had Gadsden come on for a little bit. He fell off. That there were just too many other guys to get the ball to for McConkey to be as good as he was last season. So, yeah, and with Herbert too, he doesn't pass enough. He does run enough. He's run a lot. He even ran in this game, but he's running for his life. Look, again, he didn't play well. He missed a lot of throws. There could have been plays that he could have made that he didn't. And with Hampton, it was just unfortunate because they said he was active, but we talked about it. I was actually surprised he was active. I didn't think he would play based on the practice reports and seeing he had a brace on his ankle. And then you see that he's active, but he barely played. I think he had, 1 touch? I don't even know how many snaps he played. 2, 3? Barely played. So taking him away, that hurt as well. So he's probably going to be the guy that goes the highest. But, yeah, those wide receivers are going to be a headache trying to figure out who to take there.
It's going to be a mess. And I think that, we can expect, of course, going into next year, the Chargers to be healthy, and they just have to stay healthy. Could we not make the case that when the Chargers lost Joe Alt for the second time, that's when their season really ended? Because, I mean, once he came back and you were like, okay, this is perfect. When they've got Alt back, but when he went down with the season-ending ankle injury, you could have said to yourself, well, this is probably over. You lost Slater at some point too, but losing both starting tackles for months, it was just awful, and that probably added a lot to how mediocre this offense was. And so I still think Justin Herbert's talented, but when we talk about fantasy football next season, yeah, there's going to be a lot of big questions. Like, I'm curious to see where Amari Hampton, where do you think he goes? Or do people still look at him and say, well, he was injured, so that's why we didn't get this big good season? I can't see him going past the third round, to be honest with you, and he'll probably end up being a second round pick.
Yeah, I think he's going to wind up in the second round. People
Are you
will
going to
look.
pay that for him though? Are you going to be okay with that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
If you were asking me right now, probably not. But we got a long off season to figure
You're
that
like,
out.
ask me in 4 months, and maybe it's just. Yeah, it was bad, and I still think though that he's going to be one of the top picks, because just like how we tell, not to say it's the same level, but just like we tell ourselves with Ashton Genty, okay, if he gets an offensive line, he's going to be good, and it feels like it's going to be the same conversations for Amari and Hampton. If he stays healthy and this, Chargers offensive line stays healthy, he could be good, because I do think we saw the flashes with him.
Yeah, we did. It wasn't enough, obviously, and then a couple of injuries too. He wound up only playing 9 games in the regular season, so that's not something you want to see in a rookie year. That you can't handle that NFL grind, and a couple of injuries set you back. So, and then even here in the postseason, wasn't able to contribute. So it's two injuries that he had this year.
Yeah, it was brutal, a bad loss for the Chargers, but that means the Patriots are on their way, and maybe they can be one of those teams that looks like Drake May leading them could maybe take them far here. So again, X-rays were negative on Matthew Stafford's finger. Looks like he is going to be good to go for Sunday. Just a little bit banged up there. We're going to continue on. I want to continue breaking down everything from the Wildcard Weekend, including the Bills going up against Jacksonville. We said it was going to be a big game, maybe one of the biggest games of the weekend, and it definitely did deliver. So we're going to recap that game here coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here with you on this Monday, an Overreaction Monday, breaking out everything that we saw during Wild Card Weekend, and wild it was. At K Valenzuela 17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you have questions, concerns about your team, comments, overreactions, send them our way. We are here to break them down. I also see some questions on Guillotine Leagues as well, so we're going to get all the information like we always do on those Tuesdays. We're going to break down the most chopped players, so we will get all that info, and Adam and I will break down how much money that you should be spending on each player as well. It's going to be hard because Adam and I are facing each other in some of these leagues. But, we put that aside for the good of guillotines and the show. It's fine.
You sure about that?
No, I'm going to tell
you.
I think you should spend a lot on Woody Marks or, Kenneth Gainwell, whoever wins this game tonight. Yeah, some random players. I'm going to tell you to get them. It'll be fun.
Okay. We'll see.
I might get chopped in one though, so I'm a little bit nervous.
Oh, really?
Who do I? Well, yeah, you told me you broke that one down. I think
it was Woody Marks though, getting
points.
Like 11. Which
I think he could do that though. To be totally honest with
you,
he
has to score a touchdown. He's not getting it without a touchdown.
Well, he's been very touchdown dependent all year. Who do I have in this league that made me not good? Oh no! I need to win this one. You know why?
Why?
I've got JSN.
The one I told you.
I still wanted to do it. I want to see if it works. It's going to work.
Can't take a 0.
I'm going to take a 0 and I'm going to win. It's going to be fine.
We'll see. I mean,
Woody Marks isn't going to do anything.
It was not only that, though. James Cook, A.J. Brown, Jacoby Myers, 2.2, Luther Burden.
Yeah.
And even Jalen Hurts, just 12.1. I took Hurts in my last draft.
The reason why I'm surviving this one is Dallas Goedert with 19 points.
Yeah.
Jeez, that was crazy too, by the way, him being.
But the other one we did, you have the most points, and you still have 3 to go. You still have Nico Collins, Metcalf, and Woody Marks.
We're ready. AJ Brown with 5.5 fantasy points. Gross. Jacoby Myers didn't do anything besides drop that pass to end the game. Brutal. And for the Bills, again, yeah, the Bills with James Cook. I mean, he didn't put up as much as I was hoping for, 7.1 in this game, but for the sixth season in a row, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are going to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. So this comes after a rally to defeat Jacksonville. This was a fun game. Again, I remember you, Adam, last week we were talking about how this is probably the biggest game of the weekend with a lot of implications based on drafts as well. If you were drafting Bills, if you thought that they were going to go, you were happy with this. If you drafted Jaguars and you thought that they were going to go far, not a good moment. But yeah, Josh Allen led that last minute drive and capped a game winning 1-yard touchdown plunge with the tush push. And then before that, maybe the longest tush push in NFL history, Adam. I mean, what are we doing with that one? And Jacksonville, if you watch that game, it was Jacoby Myers not able to hold on to the ball. They ended it with that interception. And yeah, it was a great game, but 27-24 win for the Bills.
Yeah, just great job by Josh Allen. And that's what you were looking at. If you were picking the Bills, you knew, okay, Josh Allen is the best quarterback remaining in the AFC, and he's going to have to carry this team. And he did. 273 passing, 1 passing touchdown, rushed for 33 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, came through in that critical drive. And James Cook has been great all year long. The running game for Buffalo has carried them, but this was a tough matchup against Jacksonville, who didn't allow a running back to top 75 rushing yards this season. And they continued to hold running backs down because James Cook didn't do anything on the ground, just 15 for 46. So, yeah, the Bills found a way to get this done. Khalil Shakir, 12 catches for 82 yards.
Welcome.
So there you go. If you drafted him at a PPR or you had him in the Guillotines, that worked out. It gave you a nice high floor for the week. And we did talk about it. We said, look, the one thing with Shakir, you're going to get a high floor. And that is a difference in the Guillotine format. You want that high floor. So that 5 for 50 isn't that bad. In season long or these other big contests, you're looking for a higher ceiling. Didn't expect 12 for 82, but you'll take that as he led the way. And that was pretty much it. I mean, Brandon Cooks, 3 for 58. But that's the one thing is that they just don't have these big receivers to make the big plays. They spread it out. And, that's the one concern when you look at Buffalo. But getting Josh Allen and having him come through in the playoffs, that's for those that pick the Bills to make a run. You're relying on Allen. So they come through, get that big win in the first round because Jacksonville came in very hot, winning 8 games in a row. And they played well, too. I mean, Jacksonville.
They did. They looked good.
Yeah, I don't think Jacksonville has anything to be ashamed of here. They won 13 games in the regular season. The offense got way better as the season went along. And, they have a nice foundation going forward.
Yeah, I don't think they have anything. I think this was a great team and a great, just season for Jacksonville. And I know that doesn't mean a Super Bowl. And so some fans are disappointed by that. But I think it's meant that for us in fantasy next year, that this is going to be an expensive team to draft. I think Trevor Lawrence stepped up and obviously meshed well with Liam Cohen as their new head coach. Like we said, sometimes it takes time and you have to be patient. And if you were patient with Trevor Lawrence in a super flex format, he really provided for you down the stretch. And like I said last week, for the Bills to win this game, Josh Allen needed to be a superhero and he put on the cape and he looked exactly like that. It wasn't the best statistical performance. Like if we're looking at everything, Adam, like, right, it didn't blow you out of the water. 28 of 35 for 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air. And we've seen him do that before, but he definitely was the hero for this team. He didn't have a single turnover worthy play per PFF. He had just 2 off-target throws on 35 attempts, and he only took 1 sack, even though he was pressured on a third of his dropbacks. He dropped back 39 times. He was pressured on a third of those. So I thought that was wildly impressive, but we're still going to have, I think it's going to be rinse and repeat, Adam, this week when we talk about concerns that we have for the Bills. It's going to be the exact same thing. When we look at the run defense, they gave up 154 yards against the Jags. We're going to say this is a problem. We're also going to say that the receiving core is a little thin. So those aren't going away. Those concerns aren't going away this week, but still a great win. And it feels like if anyone can get their team through this next round just because of their talent alone, it feels like it could be Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way. That's why you look at the Bills being dangerous is with him leading the way. And defense, especially against the pass, has been good this year as well. I mean, Lawrence had 207 yards. Did throw the 3 touchdowns, but 2 interceptions as well. So, yeah, Buffalo got the job done, and I think a lot of people now feel that they could emerge out of the AFC. I think I did see the Patriots are favored to come out of the AFC right
Oof.
now,
Okay.
but I think if you ask a lot of people, they would probably lean towards the Bills.
I think I would too. I think at some point too, because so the Bills are going to be at Denver. That's going to
Hmm.
be a great game. This is Saturday. They get a short, they're coming off short rest again. And I think Denver, number one team, best defense, one of the best defenses in the NFL, playing at home. That's a tough place to play. Haven't looked at the weather. Curious if it's going to be snowing in Denver or not. Because at this time in the year, sometimes it's pretty cold, but. Yeah, I think the one thing that with the Bills too that maybe sometimes people just kind of forget is the experience and what they have in the playoffs, because I think experience can take you a long way as well. And so what if I told you this, Adam? Because it is an overreaction Monday. Is it an overreaction or not to say this really is Josh Allen's best chance to win a Super Bowl this season right now? Is that an overreaction?
No, it probably is because you could have, other quarterbacks close to him in the postseason next year. I mean, when you look
Hmm.
at this AFC path, I mean, yes, you got to go on the road in Denver, but it's Bo Nix that you have to beat. Yes, they have a good defense. So, yeah, it probably is. And then, you could then you'll get another young quarterback, whether it's Drake May in his second year or
Yeah.
CJ Stroud or I guess Aaron Rodgers too, if one of them makes it. But I don't think anyone believes Pittsburgh. So yeah, the path is there. I mean, I felt like if they can get past Jacksonville, then they're probably going to reach the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that was the key is getting that one. So they are favored in Denver by 1.5, and right now the Patriots are plus 215 to win the AFC. The Bills are plus
Okay.
250, and Denver plus 260. That's on DraftKings.
This is the point where I said, because you said that last week too. If they beat Jacksonville, they have a really clear path, and it might be like to some fans they might say it's not that clear, but I will say this is where I think experience is going to come into play, because this year without a dominant team in the playoffs, you have to look at experience, and in the playoffs right now, you don't really have a team with that experience like Buffalo in postseason experience. So there's really no team left anywhere close to them. And I think that that's going to help them in this run. And I think if Josh Allen continues to play the way that he's played and that he's shown us, that yeah, this is probably their best chance, because again, you've got no Mahomes that we said was there just they never wanted to see Mahomes on their schedule. You don't have Joe Burrow, you don't have Lamar Jackson. So this is probably going to be that time. And again, I think Jacksonville put up a really good fight. I think they had a really great season. And I think, don't you believe that Parker Washington is going to be that first receiver off the board for them? I really think it's going to be close. I don't know what people are going to look at with Travis Hunter next year, or if they're going to tell us something during training camp or OTAs or anything like that. But he really has put up a great season for what we didn't expect from him.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big discussion throughout the offseason what to do, because does this mean Travis Hunter plays more cornerback as well?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers, who you just extended, Brian Thomas, unless they move on from him. Like, where is he going to play? So you
Yeah.
might see more Hunter at cornerback at that point.
Well,
So yeah,
it's kind of like an embarrassment of riches, right? Where you said, "Hey, this is actually the best case scenario," because maybe they didn't expect Parker Washington to perform like that.
probably not, because they kept bringing in receivers over him, and
Yeah.
then it got to the point where down the stretch he was the go-to guy. I mean, look at his last 4 games when he got the opportunity. Trevor Lawrence was consistently looking for him, and he kept making big plays. So yeah, this was a great finish to the season for Parker Washington.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where he really does end up going in drafts for the coming year. But yeah, he had a great end of the season, and again, I think Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be expensive too. Don't you think he'd be taken in one single quarterback leagues as someone that you are just saying, hey, I want to wait a little bit and he could be your quarterback, because he did run a lot more this year as well. And I mean, Liam Cohen in that offense, I think that was a good relationship, a good marriage, right, going into the first season. So he could be someone that maybe you wait on. And I don't even know if you can wait. He might be expensive.
I don't know. I think he'll still be. a borderline QB1. Like, I don't expect them to make a jump to the top 7. Could be wrong on that, but that's just my initial
Top
guess.
10 though? Top 10?
Borderline, yeah. I think he'll be in the
Okay.
10 to 14 area, if I had to guess right now. I mean, he had 9 rushing touchdowns. I don't think that's repeatable, right? I mean, he's had 5 before, and 359 rushing yards was his career high. 82 attempts, a career high. So, yeah, he can run a little bit, but I don't think you could expect 9 touchdowns. Maybe more like 5. Just still solid. But
Yeah.
maybe he takes a step up and has a career high in passing touchdowns. Maybe finally gets to 30. He was at 29 this year.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna be a team that a lot of people maybe like trendy, right, Adam? Sometimes we get on those trendy teams. We watch it's what have you done for me lately, and we see the way that they ended this season, and people just say, I want a piece of that team, whether it is with the receivers or whether it is with Trevor Lawrence. Could be interesting. I do see producer Tim's telling us weather in Denver looks nice, sunny, high of 52, low of 35. 52? That's warm.
That
You
is
wear shorts
definitely.
to that game. What? 52 in Denver in January? That seems
It could
weird.
change. Remember, weather
That's
is
true.
very tricky, so I would wait before
High in
making any
Chicago,
judgments on weather.
high in Chicago for right now, is 20, low of 12, and a
Even
bit of
let's
snow.
remember, like I saw hours before the game in Chicago. Oh, it's snowing, this and that, and the forecast said the snow was going to be gone, and it
Yeah,
was.
and it was gone. Yeah, I'm just saying, 52 sounds nice. Maybe you should go to that game. I don't know why
Okay,
you
if
would,
you get me
but
tickets, I'll go.
no, I can't do that. We're gonna keep on going. We're gonna go through winners and losers here, presented by Xfinity. Some of the biggest winners from Wildcard Weekend, and some of the biggest losers that just did not help your Guillotines and did not help their teams win in these wildcard matchups. We're gonna break that down here. Coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here. Hopefully, everyone is having a great start to their Monday. I know you guys had hopefully good weekends because we had a great weekend of football. Breaking down more of those winners and losers here, presented by Xfinity. Imagine all your football all in one place. Easy Xfinity. Imagine that. Adam, when we're looking at this game, and oh, let me say this news here. We did get it confirmed, looks like from Adam Schefter. Mike Vrabel says Pro Bowl cornerback Christian Gonzalez is in concussion protocol after last night's game. So they're going to want him back immediately. We'll see if he's good to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tricky. We've seen usually if you have a concussion, most players do sit out at least one game. So, we'll know obviously probably by Friday, maybe even Thursday, whether he's where he is and what stage.
And we're waiting to see who New England gets. It's going to be it's Houston Texans, Pittsburgh Steelers tonight. But we do know that this game is on Sunday. Still have not confirmed the times. We're probably going to get that. No, we are going to get that after this game concludes tonight. So something to watch out for there. Again, winners and losers here. Mentioned it at the top of the hour or the top of the show. But can we just really hit on Colston Loveland because that was a big winner from this game for the Bears, and he had 8 receptions, 137 yards, and the 2-point conversion that made it a 3-point deficit late in the game. We it's been up and down, right? Colston Loveland, from a fantasy perspective, this season wasn't necessarily the most amazing pick. If you were, listen, if you took him ahead though of Tyler Warren, it worked out. But his performance to end the season is going to make him so expensive next year. And with George Kittle now going down, unfortunately, with the Achilles injury, that probably takes him out as someone that we're drafting in 2026. So you really look at Trey McBride, Brock Bowers as the 1 and 2, and maybe people flip them, maybe they don't, but that's the 1 and 2, and then it's pretty open where people could really say that they want Colston Loveland as that third tight end taken.
Yeah, the price just keeps going up. And if
I
he has another
know.
big game next week, it's just going to increase more. And look, when the Bears took him that early, you knew he was going to play a big part in the offense. It just was a matter of when it would arrive. And yes, it looked like I remember people joking, really? Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland? It's not even close. Well, it's crazy how it has shifted. And yeah, from a fantasy perspective, if you got Loveland maybe off the waiver wire in the middle of the season, because I'm assuming people who drafted him probably wound up cutting him because he just wasn't doing much early on. Cole Kmet was playing more snaps than him. But again, Ben Johnson drafted this guy early for a reason. You knew at some point he would emerge and become a big factor in the offense. and he's done it at the biggest time for sure. Now, in fantasy, I don't know how many people were starting him down the stretch. I mean, championship week, he had a big week, 10 targets, 6 for 94 and a touchdown. Then week 18, 10 for 91 and a touchdown on 13 targets, and then 15 more targets yesterday. So you could see him really evolving in the offense. It definitely took some time, but the investment in such a high pick told you that at some point he was going to be a big factor in the offense. And now people are seeing it in the playoffs when all eyes are watching. So it's just going to increase the price. And as mentioned before, with George Kittle tearing his Achilles and not ready for the start of next season, that just bumps him down and moves Loveland up. So, yeah, it's going to be very expensive to get Loveland. If you were hoping to get him at a bargain, watching the middle of the year going, oh, he's looking good. Okay, he's not going to put up big numbers. I'll be able to get him at a nice, affordable price next season.
Wrong.
Not happening.
Not anymore. That's why I was telling you. I was yelling at the TV. I said, Colston Loveland, please stop, because everyone's watching you right now and it's just making it more expensive. This whole team, I think, is going to be expensive next year, Adam, to be totally honest with you. Like, again, we talk about trendy teams and teams that really take a turn for the better, and this seems like one with the Bears. Again, the relationship between Ben Johnson and his play calling and how it's really meshing well with Caleb Williams. This is probably going to be one of those teams that people just want a piece of, and I'm probably going to be one of them as well, depending on the price, I guess. So George Kittle again towards Achilles, so that really puts his 2026 season in jeopardy. Trey McBride, Brock Bowers at the top. Tucker Kraft, I guess, could be there. I think if also we see Kyle Pitts on the move, depending on where he goes, maybe he's a top 5 tight end. But after that, it feels like pretty wide open, because then you have Harold Fannin, you've got Tyler Warren, Sam Laporta, Dalton Kincaid, and then you get into names like Oronde Gadsden, Jake Ferguson. I know we're going to have some new rookies coming in as well, and maybe they're going to give us, depending on their landing spots, and we'll start breaking them down in the middle of the offseason here, but maybe they, depending on where they go, are guys that we talk about top 10 tight ends, but it's really wide open after those first probably 4 or 5. Which is
it'll be McBride, Bowers, and I think Loveland's going to be 3 when we start getting to draft day.
Yeah, because Tucker Kraft's coming off that injury, so people will be concerned about that. Harold Fannin is interesting. I don't think I would draft him as a top 5 tight end personally, but I'm going to be doing my rankings for the offseason. He'll be pretty close to 5 though. So yeah, the tight end position is going to get a little bit of a shakeup there. So Colston Loveland was definitely a winner. I think, again, another loser was probably with the Eagles, AJ Brown and Nick Sirianni. Just got stale, right? It's just something where maybe AJ Brown is on the move this offseason. He was frustrated. He has no one to blame really but himself with the performance that we saw on Sunday. But they had back and forth arguments on the sideline there. So I think those were 2 big losers. And Sirianni, again, it just feels rinse and repeat. They did well at the beginning, and then they just went back to their ways where we just said, why are they doing this? They had a good formula, it felt like, at the beginning, and then it just got stale again. And that's probably how we should describe the whole season with them. If you drafted Eagles players this season, like I did, it wasn't necessarily fun all the time, especially with Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown. It was an up and down kind of year.
It's crazy though. As bad as it was for AJ Brown, he was 12th in points per game in PPR
Doesn't it not
formats.
Feel like that though?
Yeah, I think it's because early in the year though. So like basically 4 of the first 5 games, he was under double digits in PPR. But from week 11 on, he had at least 11.8 every single game. So, and he gave you some of those spike weeks, so the 25 and a 35. So, but yeah, I think you were hoping for more in a year that he only missed 1 game due to injury. You expect a little bit better. So it's just the path to get there wasn't smooth. But I think if you got past that early part of the season and you just played him every week, it was okay. But again, it just shows you that so sometimes it seems like, oh yeah, he had a great year, and like it wasn't as good as it seemed, because there was a big drop off from like the top receivers to even like in that 12 range. There was a discrepancy of like 5-6 points.
Yeah. So I don't know. I had him in 1, and it wasn't a fun time, Adam. Let's just say that. And I had Devontae Smith in the GST with Jalen Hurts. That wasn't necessarily fun week in and week out, but he did give you, he was still a solid fantasy quarterback. So we can say that, but definitely losers. And then I'll say the last one here, the winner, the NFC West. Don't you think? Just 3 solid teams. Well, the Rams and the Seahawks. I'm not going to say anything nice this week about the 49ers. Sorry, everyone. Nah, I'm just kidding. I will if I need to. But I mean, those 2 teams, especially Seahawks, Rams, looks like are they still first and second in Super Bowl odds, respectively, right now? Oh, I think we lost Adam. Well, that's fine. It's because I was going to say something about the 49ers. I was going to say something nice. He didn't want me to say it, and so he just said, I'll be on my way. So that's totally fine. I do think the NFC West are in general big winners from the weekend. I think that the Seahawks and Rams are first and second in Super Bowl odds, respectively. And they've looked like 2 of the best teams all season long. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they match up this weekend. But we are going to continue on. We are going to break down the game for tonight. We're going to do that here coming up next. Oh, Wildcard Weekend isn't over yet. It's Wildcard Monday? Yeah, Wildcard Monday, Adam. With a great song, great vibes, because we've got one more game left. We are talking and breaking down this Steelers game going up against the Houston Texans. Steelers are at home in this one. And it might be a good game. You think it's going to be a good game? What's the total at right now?
I think the last I saw 38.5 or 39.5.
Okay.
Let's see, what is it at? 38.5.
Yeah. So, I mean, it could still be good. It's football, and we love watching football. So that's all that matters here. I think if we talk about one of the big storylines or some must-know storylines for this game, one of the big ones for me is DK Metcalf returning for the Steelers offense, because he was suspended for the final 2 games of the season after that altercation with a fan in Detroit. And he is still Rodgers' best target. And so since then, the Steelers have gotten through some of these games, right? They've gotten through some of them, but it hasn't necessarily been pretty. So the Steelers need Metcalf, and it hasn't been a good season either, Adam, for Metcalf, but he is definitely someone I'm going to be watching for a lot tonight, along with, Kenneth Gainwell, because he was finishing it was the week 18 game where Kenneth Gainwell finished as their leading receiver. You cannot have that happen.
He's always heavily involved in the passing game. That's been his role here. Even with Metcalf active, towards the second half of the season, I mean, Gainwell was consistently getting 7-8 targets. So, that's what we expect from Gainwell, to play a big role in the passing game. I mean, he's essentially been their number 2 wide receiver here down the stretch. So, getting Metcalf back is big. But again, there's just too many times that they really don't use him enough, and they don't take those chances downfield with him. We just see too many games where he gets 3-4 receptions. He's only had 2 100-yard games this year. So, yeah, the threat of Metcalf being out there certainly helps the offense. But this is a really tough matchup here against this Texans defense that has just been physical, held teams down. Another team coming in with a big winning streak here to close the season. They have not lost since the middle of the year when they lost to Denver, and that was an 18-15 game. So, they are playing at a high level defensively right now. And, Pittsburgh likes to play slow on offense as well. And they're going to have to find a way to protect Rodgers. We know Rodgers, he'll get rid of the ball quickly. We know that. He's not going to hold on to it.
He's like, I'm not
taking hits from this defense.
I can't do this. Yeah, I think the presence of DK Metcalf obviously opens things up as well, right? Because you simply cannot stack the box to try and stop Jalen Warren or Gainwell with Metcalf on the field. So you can't load it up there. So I think his presence alone is a win for this team just to get him back. We'll see what they're able to do with it. And then on the other side with the Texans, I think it's big questions with CJ Stroud in the offense, right? I think I took Nico Collins in our draft that we did on Friday with producer Anu, producer Brendan. Also took him in a couple of the guillotines as well. It hasn't, in the run game, I mean, it hasn't been a well-oiled operation either. They rank 22nd in rushing yards per game, and Woody Marks is averaging, just 3.6 yards per carry. So hasn't been pretty, but I really am curious to see if CJ Stroud can really find connections with Nico Collins. I still like Jaden Higgins as well. I took him in a couple of the deeper formats for drafts. But yeah, that's going to be the big thing on this other side, because we know what their defense brings, and their defense can keep them in any game, really.
Yeah, for sure. And again, the run game has been a problem for the Texans all season long. They, especially near the goal line too, they just don't convert. So I think they need to lean on the pass. Steelers too have been better against the run lately as well. So I think you do need to see the Texans lean on the pass. And look, the Texans are another team too that in drafts some of their players were cheap, and there's a real path for them to play 2-3 games. I think most people believe they can win this game, and there's a chance they get to the AFC Championship. So if you do draft some of those Texans or got them cheap, it could pay dividends.
I need Nico Collins to do something here, because in the draft that we did on Friday, George Kittle went down for me. Not good. Nico Collins, Christian Watson are my two receivers. So please, Nico Collins, stay alive in this one. You had A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. So you've got three gone right there.
Yeah, I thought they would win at least 2 games. I didn't think they would go to the Super Bowl. But again, though, in those drafts, though, you got to take a stance. You can't spread it out. And the draft where you pick dictates what you're going to do, because I was picking 4. So it kind of just felt to me where, I want to take one AFC team, one NFC team. And, I think I said it at the time. You might be eliminated in week 1. Or you might be eliminated in week 2. And if you're fortunate enough to get both sides that you take to the Super Bowl, then you have a good chance to win. But it really is you're swinging for the fences. There's no middle ground. It's not like the regular season in fantasy. You just got to take 2 teams, one on opposite sides, and you hope it goes your way. I saw another draft I did over the weekend where someone was picking 4. They stacked New England, Green Bay. It was the right strategy in terms of the way the draft fell. Obviously, with Green Bay gone, that team is toast.
Yeah. So it's going to be a good game tonight. Hopefully. Who you taking? What's your score prediction?
I'm taking the Texans. I think it'll be, let's go 19-13.
I'm going to go Texans 23-18 in this one or something like that. It's going to be low scoring. It'll be fun, though. We appreciate everyone hanging out with us. FantasyLife.com. We'll see you here same time tomorrow.